The Football Trash Talk for Real Fans podcast is an unscripted and free-flowing conversation that may touch on mature subjects. While the opinions are real, the research probably isn't, and we can't help that Atticus will probably talk about the Knicks.
And here we go.
He trucked dudes. It wasn't just in a preseason game. He did it pretty consistently. He left dudes saying, "What happened?"
You better put some respect on his name when we're talking about the champion, the Davion Clowney.
And I'm just going on eye test here, right? Like, I like the look of this coaching staff, you know?
Alright, enough of this. Let's see what kind of shit we get into today. Lloyd, it's all yours.
Welcome back. Football Trash Talk for Real Fans. Podcast number 16, Chris.
16. Our podcast can drive. How do you feel?
Feel pretty
right.
good. I'm not sure I'm ready to give the keys to the Audi yet, but you know.
Oh man. Yeah, no, we're doing a lot of these. We're hoping got a friend that played in the NFL out of Ohio University. Hoping he'll join us in a little bit here. But if not, we it's going to be just Mike and I today. Atticus is off doing CPA lawyer stuff. So, Godspeed to Atticus on that. But a lot of stuff still going on. We're entering rookie mini camps. Already got some injuries. I know a couple of the Browns draft picks, most notably the linebacker out of West Virginia, injured his foot already, which that has to be a downer, right? You go through all this, you get drafted, and then before you even get to set foot on the field, you're out for 4 or 5 weeks because you did something to your foot. That's gonna be it's gonna be a little bit of a downer, right?
A little bit of a downer and a little concerning, right? Like feet are kind of important to a football player. You got to kind of have them. So it'll be interesting to see. I'd hate to see anybody get one of those nagging injuries, especially this early, right? And some of it maybe we could roll up to COVID. Like how much were these guys? I'd like to believe, and this might be a good question for our guest, right? But how much work goes into your physical fitness in the off season, right? To really perform at that level, what's that take?
Right. Well, especially you figure because out of all the leagues, I feel like NFL because their schedule is so set, they're probably huge creatures of habit, and something like COVID that just throws everything out of whack, and your games are getting moved, and now you're playing on Wednesday and whatever. That's gonna screw things. I know baseball players are notorious, pitchers are notorious for that kind of stuff, but I feel like football players more than any, because just the way they're, the league's set up, I feel like that would be a huge thing, with their workout patterns and stuff like that. They're probably huge creatures of habit. So this week the schedules did come out. So let's go ahead and talk about our teams, just because I'm not sure when and if Landon will be joining us here. So what did you think of the Eagles release? Any part of the schedule that scares you? Harder, easier than you thought? What do you think?
I mean, the schedule, the Eagles are such an anomaly this year, right? It's just one of those things where it can go one of two ways, and it can go really bad, or it could be somewhat surprising, and I don't think there's really any in between, right? Everything I'm looking at pretty much shows that there will be, anywhere from 4 to 7 wins for the Eagles, which I think is fair, right? I don't see them getting past that. There's some tough games, there's some easy games. I don't know what the strength of schedule said, but I don't think it was too daunting.
No, I think they were somewhere around 27, if I remember correctly. 27th toughest schedule. Are they what would you say the toughest stretch is for you guys this year? It looks like you got a game at the Chiefs.
I think the end of the season is the toughest stretch. You have, I think 3 out of 4 of our last games are all divisional games, and that's daunting. The only saving grace is that they're home games.
Yeah, the NFL in general seems to be doing that this year. The Browns are the same way. Our first division game is until I think Halloween when we play the Steelers. So that would be like what, week 9 or so? That's our first division game, and then of our last 7 games, 6 of them are division games. So that's real weird. We have that weird schedule quirk. You and I were talking about before we started here, where we play the Ravens and then we have a bye week and then we play the Ravens again. I see that being a split right now. We'll just win on each other's home. We'll win on our home field. They'll win on their home field. Luckily, they get to, they don't even get to rest in between. They're going to go right to things. The big one for the Browns, we open up at Kansas City, where we ended last season. I think we're 5-point dogs as of right now. What do you think the Browns' chances for an upset are in that game? There are some people picking us. We do have some.
Where is it? Is it at home?
No, it's at Kansas City.
I'm going to go upset. I'll take the points.
Yeah. I want to say it's about 5.5 right now, I think is what I saw. I want to say later on in the season that I think if we were to play them week 7, that would be closer to maybe a field goal or a 4-point spread. Not taking anything away from the Chiefs, but we're gonna have 7 new players on defense. The only projected returners from last year are Garrett and now why is his name escaping me? The cornerback Denzel Ward. They're the only projected returning starters. So what scares me about the Kansas City game is we're going up against obviously one of the most prolific offenses right now in the NFL, and we're going to have 7 or 9 new players on defense. So they're still going to be gelling a little bit. Their first live action is going to be against Kansas City. So that's what has me more nervous about that. I'd prefer that game to be a little bit later in the season once our boys have had a chance to play a couple together. But
that goes on both sides of the ball, though, right? Like Kansas City's playing with not a brand new offensive line, but a revamped offensive line. So, it'll be their first action as well. So, I feel more confident with defenses gelling or being able to compensate some of that team continuity more so than offense, right?
Because defense is more reactionary. You're more reacting anyway versus offense where you kind of got to know what your guy's going to do. So it'll be interesting. Like I said, there are a couple stretches for the Browns that have me nervous. We play at Patriots and then at Pittsburgh back to back. But the Browns did get lucky in the sense we have, I want to say we're a top 10 toughest schedule, but the way it shakes out, we have a lot of home stretches. So we play 2-3 games in a row at home. And I want to say our longest away trek is only 2 games. We do that twice. So as far as that goes, I feel like we lucked out. We're playing tough teams. Obviously, we play the Chiefs this year. We play the Patriots at New England. The Ravens are tough. The Steelers are going to play tough, even though I don't think they're going to finish above 500. Those division games are always going to be rough. We have some tough away games, but the way our schedule breaks down, usually we're playing the Bengals and then we go play a tough game. So it's a game. I think our schedule is more trap games than anything else, if I'm being honest, because looking ahead a little bit, because I think we have it's something before we do I don't have the schedule in front of me, but before we do the at Pats and at Steelers, I think we have the Lions at home before that. So it's, we do play at Green Bay, which I have circled on my calendar for various reasons. But we'll see how that goes. You got any predictions for that I could maybe show to someone later?
I have no predictions for the Green Bay Packers this year until
so we know what's going on with Rodgers.
Until we know what's happening with Rodgers, they're on the table and they're on the back of the table, right? I just can't make any call. I mean, you asked me, is there a stretch that concerns you? I don't like the opening of the schedule either, right? Open at Atlanta. Don't really know what they're going to do, right? I mean, it looks like they have an offensive juggernaut, but their defense has always been suspect. It's in Atlanta, though. Don't know what's going to happen there. San Fran. So they got a ton of people coming back from injury. So there's that. At the Cowboys versus the Chiefs, Carolina Panthers, and then Tampa Bay on a 4-day rest. Like, that's the first 6 games. Eagles could easily be 0-6. Easily. That's not good.
Do you think that, I mean, I don't know. The Eagles are always scrappy. Like, for as much crap as I give you about them, they always seem to win a game or two they shouldn't. They always seem to, they play with a lot of pride. If there's any one thing I would give the Eagles over a lot of other teams, like, they play with a pride you don't see out of, say, like the Cincinnati Bengals, right? Like, they might go, what would it be, 4-13? Yeah, I'm all thrown off because of that extra game. They might go 4-13, but it's going to be a tough 4-13. Like, it's just teams aren't going to come out of there. Speaking of the Falcons, I've heard rumors that Julio Jones might be on the go after June 1st, because I guess it helps out with the it's a quirk in the way the salary cap works. It makes sense for them to trade him if they're going to trade him after June 1st. Where would you like to see Julio go? Because I'd like to see him go to a contender and have a shot at the Super Bowl.
If Aaron Rodgers stays in Green Bay, I'd like to see him go to Green Bay.
That would be deadly. Yeah,
deadly.
Do you think he could handle playing in the cold after playing in a dome his whole career?
I think he could figure it out playing with probably, Tom's the GOAT, 7 rings, can't deny that. But best pure like Aaron Rodgers may be the best passer the game's ever seen, right? The best quarterback, maybe not the GOAT, right? But like, as far as just a quarterback, I mean, it's phenomenal. We've talked about it on this many times. Like, the fact that he hasn't thrown double-digit interceptions in over a decade is ridiculous, right? While throwing for 4,000 and 5,000 yards, while throwing for 40 TDs in the season, it's insane. His accuracy and some of the passes he makes just look incredible. And with Julio's length, like, I think he'll figure it out. Put a little Gore-Tex on, you'll be fine.
So that brings up an interesting conversation I want to have with you. When we talk about the GOAT, specifically the quarterback position, I think a lot of people would, justifiably so, say Tom Brady. But I also think those same people, if given a chance today to start a franchise, and you could have either Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady, most people would take Aaron Rodgers, right? Like, I think that's a fair assessment without knowing what the rest of your team is going to look like. You're just taking them straight up head to head. I think most people take Aaron Rodgers. So do we judge the GOAT based off of just who's won the most Super Bowls, which I think is a weird, like, I get Tom Brady's got an unbelievable Super Bowl record. I get it. But it's more than just the quarterback that gets there. Now, I think, because he's willing to take, his attitude and his leadership can't be measured the same way, like, passing yards versus interceptions can. I get that. But is Brady hands down the GOAT just simply because of the Super Bowls, or is there another way to look at it, you think?
I mean, it's a collective of everything, right? And it's the same thing in any sport when you talk about the GOAT. You have to take into account what they're doing when it matters, right? I mean, the dude's going to pass 80,000 yards this year. So it's not like he's not a passer, right? He's going to pass 80,000 yards. That's insane. He's going to pass 600 touchdowns. That's insane. He threw 40 touchdowns at age 43. Like, that's insane, right? Like, I mean, so when you talk about GOAT, you have to take the collective everything. If Aaron Rodgers was on New England, would they have won the 6 Super Bowls? You could always do the if, then, whatever questions. But fact remains, they have what they have. Dan Marino, prime example. Dan Marino was one of the best quarterbacks this game's ever seen. He's only played in the Super Bowl once, But I would put his stats up against anybody as far as being a quarterback.
Right.
So you have to take into the only, like, I'll turn it the other side. Terry Bradshaw is in the conversations of great quarterbacks. He's a terrible quarterback, but he's got 4 Super Bowls. He was 4-0 in the Super Bowl. He was a terrible quarterback.
their whole offense in general, like Lynn Swan, outside, like he's known for that one catch, right?
Yeah.
But outside of that, like he was pretty pedestrian. Like if he was a fantasy player today, he'd be like a 12th, 13th round pick. You know, like he was never a guy. He got in the Super Bowl because he played on all those Steelers teams and had that one catch that everyone remembers. Is he the Immaculate Reception guy, or is that someone else?
Franco Harris.
Franco Harris is the Immaculate Reception. Okay. Yeah. That shows how much I care about the Steelers and what they've done in the 70s, no less. Yeah, I mean, it's hard because the other thing is, yeah, I don't know if I can see Aaron Rodgers and Bill Belichick coexisting for 20 years. That's definitely not something I think happens if Aaron Rodgers had ended up on the Patriots, regardless of how much they were winning. But that being said, speaking of the Patriots, did you hear that we're just kind of got a whole collective? So just so everyone listening out there, we did have we were going to interview someone today, and we prepared for that. We actually prepared this. Mike asked me last night if he thought we were unscripted when I was asking him if he had any actual questions he had come up with. So we're it's real unscripted today. We're just flying off the cuff. So if we seem like we're jumping around a lot, but yeah, did you hear that they're getting the Tom Brady v New England rematch? Like tickets are going on StubHub for like $1,300 for like nosebleeds. Yeah.
So I looked at, speaking of looking at tickets, now I'm going down and now I'm going to swerve in another direction, right? So the schedule comes out. I'm like, if I was going to go to an Eagles game this year, where do I want to go? Right. I've never been to the Link, so obviously I'd like to go to the Link, but they're playing Vegas in Vegas. And I was like, let me see what that's all about, right? Let me see that brand new stadium, which looks awesome. It looks like the Death Star. So, flight and hotel, like $1,700. I can get a ticket in the nosebleeds for about $600. So I'm looking at $2,300 for a trip. But if I want to not be in the nosebleeds, we're looking at $1,300 a ticket as well for that. It's insane. But it's a destination probably any NFL fan wants to go to.
Right. Well, I remember when a couple years ago when the Browns signed Odell and there was all the hype, the average resale ticket price for games in Cleveland went from it was like $70, $80 a ticket for the cheap seats to like $300-$400. And there's this big thing about how, it used to be for a family of four in Cleveland, you could go and take the kids to the stadium and watch the Browns for, a couple $100, like $300, and that got everyone a hot dog, right? And now it's saying it's going to cost you $500 just to get in the door, and that's like this big, huge thing. And it kind of makes it's kind of weird that the NFL can still get away with. I mean, I get these are all resale, so it's not exactly the NFL setting it up. Oh, 1 second. Oh, actually, it looks like Landon will be logging on. Hold on 1 second. He's going to be logging on here in a second, so I'll finish my thought while he's logging. Can you send him the link real quick?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of weird. Like I get these are resale tickets, but it's interesting in this age where, movie theaters are struggling and everything else because, people's home entertainment systems are rivaling, quality theaters, that the NFL can still have resale values on their tickets like several times what the face value of the ticket is. That's crazy to me.
I think with COVID, every live event, concerts, pro sports, any of it, they should be at discounted rates for the next year.
Yeah.
They should throttle it way down just to kind of give back to the people. Kind of like a fan stimulus package.
Right.
They make their money off of TV anyway.
Well, that's the thing, though. I mean, they can't really control the secondary market, can they?
No.
Yeah. I mean, if people are really willing to pay $1,600, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. If I was a New England fan and someone was offering me $1,600 for my nosebleed seats, I'd do it too. Okay.
Hey, and I'll be honest, right? Like, I'm considering going to Vegas. It's $2,500. For a weekend.
Yeah, but Vegas is Vegas though. Like, it's not just going for the game. You're also after the game, before the game. You're in Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully he should be logging on here. I'll just edit out this pause. It's a nice thing about doing the Spotify thing. I can edit this stuff out.
Yeah, I can't. Well, I probably could. I could probably trim this if I sat and watched it. I've never really put a whole lot of effort into really editing the video.
There we go. There he is. There's the man of the hour. Perfect. How you doing today, bro? You're on mute.
Oh, there we go. Yo. Checking in. What's up, guys?
Not too much. How you doing, man? How have things been treating you over in South Carolina?
Man, things are great. I can't complain about a thing. It was a busy night last night at my bar. I've been trying to make sure everything is good with them. So for the brunch we got going on today, so before I got the meeting started, I had to go get me a little cocktail so we can get started on this rad podcast.
For sure. I appreciate it. And we'll give you a chance to talk about that a little bit. We don't, we have 26 solid listeners right now, and a handful of them are actually in Germany. But if they ever come over, we'll let you plug your stuff here in a minute. Talk about, but we had some questions. So really quick, I'm just going to give you a quick intro. This is Landon Cohen. He was a 2008 draft pick out of Ohio University. That's where I went to school. Actually, one of my favorite pictures from my time at OU. You probably don't even remember this, but I couldn't even tell you what game it's from. But I have a framed picture of us chest bumping at the 50-yard line after we beat somebody. There's a picture of us. Okay. Yeah, there's a picture I have of us chest bumping. It's one of my favorite pictures.
You got to send me that, man. You got to send me that. I love all that material for sure.
Definitely. Yeah, no, it's a pretty cool picture. I'm not even sure who took it. I couldn't even tell you what game it's after. But, yeah, there's definitely a picture of us. So with the draft just happening, we just kind of want to talk to you a little bit about your experience playing in the NFL. And I was hoping you could kind of walk us through the draft pick. Now, you were a later round pick. So what was preparing for the draft like? And when did you start finding out you were going to be picked? Did you know going in like, okay, this team's going to look at me in this round? Or were you just kind of sitting around watching on TV?
So you got you go on a couple interviews, and when they start flying you places, then that means that they're serious about you. So I went to Detroit on a real interview workout. No, I don't even think I worked out. I think we just did interviews. So I knew that they were serious about me. I started getting phone calls in maybe like the 4th or 5th round with teams expressing interest. And I don't know if they were considering drafting me at that point, but they definitely wanted to, if I was a free agent or something like that, be in good graces so that I would pick them. So, but the process was cool. I was just at OU doing some homework with the guys. Like I'm like studying, just trying to stay on my stuff. And, the coach from Detroit calls me. He's like, "Hey, you ready to be a Detroit Lion?" And I'm like, before I can answer, he's like, "Well, you ain't got a choice. We're drafting your ass right here." And I mean, literally like 1 second on the phone with him. The next second I was on the phone with the secretary, and they were booking my flight to fly out. And I think the next day or the day after for rookie minicamp, which was by far the hardest shit I ever have done in my whole entire life. It really makes you consider if you really want to play football or not. And especially if you're a drafted guy, it was almost like, shit, you got 80 other guys out here and you better be able to whoop them all. So,
So you were legit just studying. You were just studying. You weren't even paying attention, and you just got a call. And
trying to take my mind off of it. So I mean, obviously, I knew that I had a chance at being drafted, a real good chance at being drafted, but I didn't know when. I knew it would be kind of the second day. But I really was at Courtyard apartment, doing some homework for real. Like,
yeah, a lot of athletes lived. I actually lived up there a couple years prior to that. But yeah, no, I know exactly what you're talking about. That's a real, because I always, we always sit there and we watch it on TV, right? So we just picture everyone just kind of sitting around watching it like we are. Never, it's kind of weird to think that you're just living your life, doing your thing, and then suddenly you just get a call. So
I'm with the homies. I'm with the boys like Taj Fitz, Calvin, like all the guys. We're just sitting around at the table, enjoying being a senior, being done with with college ball. So it was a good experience, and I got to share it with some real good guys.
Nice. So you mentioned something about, you got to Detroit for the rookie mini camp, and it was the hardest shit you've been through in your life, right? And Chris and I were talking a little bit about, because I forget the player, but someone just hurt their foot in rookie mini camp. And, so that brought up the question, what kind of preparation really needs to go into playing at that level, right? Like, I played some sports, Chris played some sports, but we're not professional athletes. What kind of preparation and commitment really goes into what you do day to day?
So when I went to train down with Chip Smith at CES, I left school, went to train with him and just figure out what this thing was about. The weightlifting regimen and like the weights that people were lifting, how many times you were lifting it, was just like incredible. So I'm used to doing sets of 15, maybe sets of 15 in college. Now it's like 4 sets of 30 with big boy weight. It's no playing around with the leg press, the squats. You got all these other guys in here squatting the house. And that's just, you got to beat your body to get it prepared for the wear and tear of the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
So, like a lot of pushing and pulling on the sleds, things like that. And just, you got to beef yourself up. So I was a 265-pound, 270-pound dude in college. But when I went to the pros, I went up to 291 by pro day. And that added that extra meat that I needed to be able to hold the double teams and to be able to just hold at the point of contact in the NFL versus an NFL double. So you're gonna need some meat for sure.
So you definitely had more of a journeyman path through the NFL. You got drafted by the Lions. You played for the Bears. You were on a couple different squads. What head coach mainly, was the most influential, or that you felt you learned the most from, or even you just enjoyed being on his team the most? I don't know how much interaction you might have had specifically with a specific head coach, but were there any that kind of stood out to you?
Yeah, I've always, when I would go to the meetings, I would be taking notes and writing down everything that these guys would say, just based on the leadership qualities that they display. So Pete Carroll and Bill Belichick were two of my favorite coaches. Completely different styles, but very, very successful on both ends. So just studying the way they moved, the organization of how they conducted meetings, how everything was organized and structured so that we could be successful is like all of those things stood out to me. And it wasn't really about football. It was more about, you got this Fortune 500 company. This guy is the head of the company. He's hired these guys to be able to execute, to make sure that everybody's on the same page. They expected everyone to be prepared. So, the head man had his job, the other guys had their jobs, and that's how it went.
Is Bill Belichick how we see him on TV in the meetings? Is that how he is every day to day, or is there a difference?
Yeah, I think he's similar. he's got that kind of dry sense of humor. But at the end of the day, we're there to do a job.
Right.
So like we want to be really, really good at the task at hand. So I mean, we're not gonna do things that take away from the task at hand in New England.
So one of the other things you got to do was you got to play in a Super Bowl. What was Super Bowl week like? Like, did that throw you completely different than everything else you've been doing in the NFL? Was it a lot more interviews, or from your point of view, was it that much different than what you would normally prepare?
Yeah, I mean, it was, it's a lot more interviews, a lot more media, but you got 2 weeks to prepare. And, I got there late in the season, so it wasn't a lock that I would play in the Super Bowl. So we were competing all the way up until like the day before of who was going to get the jersey for the game. And, so it was cool. I enjoyed that experience. I enjoyed, being one of the best in the world at that particular moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
But it was cool to experience that and get my jersey and go out there and mix it up and play a game. I mean, the game is so crazy that like you can't be off, because if you're off, it's gonna go for a touchdown, because everybody's they're on their game, they're on their A game. So
did it take a little bit longer to settle into that game than like No.
Nah, that's a Super Bowl. You better come settled in. It's no you the best of the best at that time. So there is no more jitters and all of that type of stuff. It's lock in, what's at stake. I think the winner gets 100, the loser gets 50. Okay. So shit, let's get it.
So throughout your time in the NFL, was there any set of home locker rooms or away locker rooms that were better than anything else? What's behind the scenes kind of like?
I mean, they definitely not gonna make the away locker rooms comfortable for you. I think Buffalo probably had the worst, where like sharing lockers and all, man, like you got pro players like getting dressed in the same locker. Yeah, Buffalo's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
What about home? I know you did some time in Dallas. If just looking at the list of teams you played on, that would be my guess. But
I mean, all the facilities are pretty nice as far as home goes. So I mean, one is just like all of them,
As far as fans go. As far as fans go, who were the worst fans that you encountered going into a visiting situation?
That's tough, man. I never really even paid any attention to it. I could say the loudest probably was Kansas City and Seattle, for sure.
Yeah.
But like rough is like I don't know. I never carried on with. I was too engaged in the game to carry on with fans, and I never even heard any of that. Like I was, psyched out on the guy that I was going against.
Right.
So you also spent some time in the CFL. In fact, you won the Grey Cup with Ottawa. How did obviously it's not to the same scale as like playing in the Super Bowl, but what was that experience like? And
but it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's a misconception that people don't think that like it's the same scale. Like, no, it's just as big. The interviews, the atmosphere, the production, everything is just like it's the same, really. And the quality of football is it's on the same level. They're just different players. So like it's 12 men on the field. A linebacker may be 5'9", 200 pounds. The middle linebacker in the CFL. So it's just a slightly bit different game. But as far as like the hype and how crazy the fans get and everything, it's crazy in Canada. The CFL I really enjoyed it. As much as my rookie year in the NFL, I enjoyed my final year playing football in the CFL as equally as just like enjoying the game.
Right. So what's the transition been like, man? But Chris told me a little bit about you. I did a little bit of research. It looks like you got a valet company. You said something about a restaurant. What's life like now?
So now I am like a serial entrepreneur. I have a car wash bar and grill where we wash cars. You can come get a good Caribbean meal, have a beer while you wait. And I'm just a problem solving guy. I was like, hey man, people like there's a million cars that are driving the road. Like, what's the worst part about getting your car clean? And it's the wait.
Yep.
So we made the wait like a non-issue. You can get to-go food if you like, feed the kids, have a glass of wine, all those good things. So I do real estate. Like I said, I have my valet parking company. I have a moving and logistics company where we specialize in relocation.
Okay.
So what happens is say there's a building and they had damage done and we needed to move those furnitures and all that stuff out of the building to another building temporarily and move it back. That's what my guys do.
And I know my man here's got a little experience in the crypto currencies from what I've been so he likes to dip his toe in it a little bit.
I've been going crazy with the crypto lately. I think that it's a way that the average American can put back a little bit of money and kind of get back to that American dream a little bit. So it's been a fun ride. It's been interesting. I never thought that I would wake up so early in the morning and be doing so much research again on on the utilities of the coins, different coins, new coins, staking. I mean, there are so many different options in crypto right now that people can earn some income, some passive income, relatively speaking, that it was a no-brainer for me to jump into it.
Awesome. Well, we'll get you out of here on this one last question. Looking back over your career in the NFL, are there any players that you wish you would have gotten the chance to maybe play with, or anyone you felt you learned a lot from outside of the coaching ranks that you felt touched your career? Just want to kind of pull it back to the NFL and end on that, and we'll let you get out of here.
All my South Carolina boys. I think that's one thing that when we were in the NFL, we always looked out for each other, no matter where we were. So if it was a South Carolina boy on the team, no matter what part of the state of South Carolina we were from, we always tried to link up and make sure each other was straight. So shout out to South Carolina on that.
I hear you. Well, we appreciate your time today. I know you're a busy dude, so thanks for taking some time out to talk with us. Yeah, and if anytime you want to come back and give us a shout, we'd love to have you.
I'll tell you, man. All right. My man, they running and talking to me now, man. I enjoyed it. We'll do it again sometime. And you're in Columbus, right?
No, I'm down in Orlando now. I was in Columbus for a little bit, but I'm down in Orlando.
Okay. You're in Orlando. Okay, cool, man. My brother's in Orlando. I'll link you up.
I appreciate it.
Definitely, man. I appreciate y'all. What is that, a little mouse on your bed?
Oh, it's my cat. It's my cat.
I'm kidding, man. All right, man. Y'all be good. I enjoyed it.
All right, man.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Peace.
Well, look at us. We're pulling interviews now. We're getting up there. We're
trying.
I mean, I'm gonna thank him on the thing. Maybe we'll get like 3 more listeners this week. What do you think?
Maybe. We should give a shout out to our German population, right? And just danke, dass Sie heute Sieger heute haben, which is thanks for listening today, right?
Is that really, or did you just make that up as we went along?
No, that's for real.
Yeah. A little fun fact about the podcast. So I get breakdowns, and apparently of our unique listeners, about 20% are in Germany. So yeah, thanks for that. We're international. I'll take it.
Danke.
think it's a good place. This is a good little podcast. We're wrapping up under an hour. Look at us, professionals.
There we go, man. Trying real hard. We're gonna work on getting this down to a palatable time limit. See if that works out for us. But I think next week let's get into some fantasy football.
I like it.
We're both doing some mock drafts.
Well, everybody, that wraps up our show for this week. Thanks for listening.
It's always
here's a random weekly fun fact for you.
From what we love.
With 4 Super Bowls between these 3 men, Bart Starr, Brett Favre, and Aaron Rodgers have each played exactly 16 seasons donning the green and gold of the
I know he's busy, guys. It's really cool of him to geek out 20 minutes for us. We'll see you guys next week.
All right.
Anyway, this has been the Football Trash Talk for Real Fans podcast. It's been a pleasure, and as always, F your team. Stay safe out there.